In Kansas City, it was a massive, massive fight at 145 pounds between Max Holloway and Arnold Allen. What an important fight, especially for Arnold Allen, who had never fought for the belt, who had won 10 in a row, who is the only fighter not named Tony Ferguson to have a double-digit win streak in the UFC and not get a title shot. Of course, Tony fought at least for an interim belt. Arnold never even got to sniff an interim title shot. And so he put it all on the line after, the likes of Yair Rodriguez and Josh Emmett just fought for the interim belt. And, of course, Alex Volkanovski moves up to 155. Arnold Allen puts it on the line against the best featherweight on the planet, arguably not named Alex Volkanovski. I know Patricio Pitbull will have a thing or two to say about that, but certainly in the UFC. And, Holloway's coming off that loss to Volkanovski back in July and obviously looked a step slower than Volkanovski, but I think we forget just how good Volkanovski is. And so this was a big spot for Arnold Allen. Win this fight, secure your spot as the number one contender, fight the winner of Yair and Alex Volkanovski, which goes down July 8th in Las Vegas. As of right now, I'm told it's going to be the main event. We also know that Brandon Moreno versus Alexandre Pantoja going to be the co-main. And so a lot was riding on this one, in particular, in my opinion, for Arnold Allen, but also for Max, who was playing up all week. Y'all must have forgot, I'm not done. I'm still here. In fact, has a new management team. Everything was new for him, right? It was a fresh slate. It was a new chapter. He's with Tim Simpson, who's had quite the run himself. Tim, in the last month, has had Leon Edwards, has had Israel Adesanya, and then has Max Holloway in main event fights, massive fights. And in the end, it was vintage Max Holloway. Now, it wasn't necessarily vintage Max Holloway in the sense that he, poured it on with output, but precision was impressive. Striking obviously was impressive. For the most part, it was a kickboxing match, and it leaned more towards a boxing match. It was a lot of striking and not much else, not a lot of ground activity. And Max Holloway won that fight. Now, I do want to say something right off the bat because I think that this was a bit of a controversial take, at least to some, not to me. And I do want to apologize. I want to apologize right off the bat because a lot of you were very upset with my scorecard on Saturday night. Now, I also do want to say before I apologize, I've been, on Twitter since 2008, and usually for the main events, I like to score the fights. I don't know why. It's a pretty silly activity, especially since I'm not a full-time judge myself, but why am I doing this? Everyone's watching. Is there anyone at home being like, oh, let me see what Ariel thinks, as far as the scoring is concerned? Who knows? But it's just something I've done really dating back to when I got on Twitter because it seemed like the perfect use of Twitter. And I don't know how many times I got it wrong per se. Yeah, of course there's one here or there, but so wrong that all these people were writing to me. I mean, the engagement on this tweet was fantastic. I mean, it was an incredible tweet in terms of engagement because I got so many people telling me that I'm the worst, that I should die, that I know nothing about MMA, that I should go back to basketball. That was a fun one that I saw. Stick to basketball. Oh, wow, I haven't heard that one before. Anyway, I do want to apologize because my tweet after the fight read as follows. Let me just pull this up real quick because I don't want to misquote myself. I have it 48-47 Allen, 48-47 Holloway, very possible too. All comes down to that fourth. And so I want to apologize for that because a lot of you were upset. As of right now, 1K comments. Is it possible? Wow. This is an amazing ratio right here, New York Rick. 1,084 replies, 55 retweets. Is that one of the most lopsided ratios of all time? That's got to be up there.
That's a bad ratio, right?
That is a bad ratio. Yep, 100%. Anyway, so my apology is this. That scorecard was wrong. Mea culpa. My bad. I got it wrong. A lot of people wanted to tell me I got it wrong. A lot of people said, no way, 48-47 Allen. And you're right. There's no way it was 48-47. It was 49-46 Allen. I apologize for nothing. That sounded a lot better in my head when I was practicing it, but the microphone is so bad right now that once I raised my voice just a little bit, it all went to shit. What do we do about the microphone situation, Frank?
Have you considered not screaming into it?
I'm gonna. I've been screaming since we met. Yeah. I scream.
I have to dial it in. So if it changes in your ear,
What does that mean, dial it in?
Like I'm fine tuning how much sounds in your.
How long does this fine tuning take? Just out of
Well, when I
curiosity.
try to make a move and you're like, well, what are you doing in my headphone?
Oh, well,
Can't
that
really
was,
touch it.
I mean, like
Yeah.
even there, it was like, it used to be so, let me try to play with this a little bit. 48, 47 Allen. No, 49, 46
You
Allen.
gotta yell
Okay.
it.
No, 49, 46. No, you see there, it went crazy again. Anyway, a lot of you were very upset. And the part that I think that you guys missed in that tweet was 48, 47 Holloway, very possible too. Did you miss that part? Did you miss the part where I said it's very possible? Meaning this could really come down to one round. Now, a lot of people were very upset saying, oh, this was so one-sided. It could have been 50 to 45 for Max Holloway. It was that one-sided. I think that's absolute hogwash. One judge, Chris Lee, scored it 10-9, 10-9, 10-9, 10-9 for Max Holloway and only gave Arnold Allen the fifth, which everyone on Twitter did not give to Arnold Allen. Why? Because they said that he got knocked down in the final seconds of the fight. Guess what? According to UFCstats.com, that wasn't recorded as a knockdown. Now, are they always 100% right? No. But if they're not calling it a knockdown, I'm not calling it a knockdown, all right? And if anything, it was a flash knockdown in the last like 3 seconds of the round. I'm not sure if that's enough to win the round, okay? Travis Buesking, 10-9 Holloway, 10-9 Allen, 10-9 Holloway, 10-9 Holloway, 10-9 Allen, 48-47 Holloway. That's what I said. I said that's very possible as well. Sal D'Amato, 10-9, 10-9, 10-9, 10-9 Holloway, fifth round, 10-9 Arnold Allen. What are you guys so mad about? All right? First of all, every single judge gave the fifth to Arnold Allen. I don't know how you can give the second to Max Holloway, quite frankly. I thought that he clearly won the first, clearly won the third. Fourth was a little bit dicey, that to me. Second was Arnold. Fifth was Arnold. I mean, this is not as one-sided as you guys are making it out to be. I'm sorry. One guy here, 50 to 45 or 49-46 for Max is the only acceptable scorecard. What are you, crazy? Only acceptable scorecard. Now, right man won fair and square. I watched it, but I still maintain that it's 48-47 Holloway. I'll go 1 and not more. 1, 3, 4 Holloway, 2-5 Arnold Allen. And that's that. Tremendous performance from Max Holloway. He looked amazing. He was not slow. Arnold Allen is one of the best featherweights in the world, top 5. Without a doubt. And I really, obviously in the Parlay Pals thing, I picked him, but he was the underdog according to every single book on the planet, slight underdog. I thought that this was going to be his coming out party. And in the back end of the fight, fifth round, I thought, the way he kind of put his foot on the gas, like he did against the likes of Calvin Kattar and Dan Hooker, and I know those aren't the same type of fighters as Max Holloway is. I thought we were going to see more of that early on, but Holloway is just so damn good. And so the big takeaway was Holloway is so damn good. He isn't going anywhere. The UFC needs to be careful about who they book Holloway against at 145 because let's be honest, if you put more contenders against him, you're just going to be killing off these contenders for the foreseeable future. It's a very dangerous proposition. Afterwards, he said he wanted to fight Korean Zombie. They've never fought before. They've been in the featherweight division for ages, but their stars have never quite aligned. Zombie this morning posted on his Instagram that he would like to fight him. There's a rumored fight card in the early fall, late summer in Australia, and there's some talk of maybe running it over there. That would be incredible. I would love to see that fight. Now, I think Holloway at this point is probably, a couple levels above. But again, you can't put any of the young upstarts in there because you need to build those guys for Alex Volkanovski. And you don't want another situation like you just had with Arnold Allen, who had 10 wins in a row and now has to, build himself back up. Now, is it a big build back up? No. You lose to Max Holloway, nothing to sneeze at. 1, 2 wins in a row, you're back into that same spot. But it is a setback for the almighty one, and I feel for him. 10 in a row should usually stamp your ticket to getting a title shot. There are guys out there who had 2 wins in a row and got a title shot. Yuri Prochaska comes into the UFC, but sometimes you're in a weight class where the stars don't align for you, or you're out and you're not as active. There are a whole bunch of things at play here for Arnold Allen, but he seems to be handling it well. He seems to be in good spirits. And it's a big learning lesson for him. Going 5 rounds, going into the championship rounds against a guy who has lived in those championship rounds for so many years. Nothing to be ashamed of. If you're going to lose, if you're going to have your streak snapped, if you're going to stop short of getting a title shot, might as well be against, arguably the greatest featherweight champion of all time, or at least up until we met a guy named Alex Volkanovski as of late. GC and Rick, how did you guys score the fights? Because if memory serves me correct, I believe New York Rick even had it the same as I did initially. Am I wrong?
I did. Still have it that way because I haven't rewatched it.
Well, there you go. I'm not so crazy after all.
I had it 2, 4, and 5 for Allen. But I've since seen a lot of discourse, obviously, about 5 being a max round based on that knockdown. And 4 was extremely close, in my opinion. Could have gone either way. I scored it at the time for Allen. But I haven't rewatched it. So my card was 48-47 Allen.
Can I just say something before I ask you, GC, about your scorecard? A lot of people like to point to that knockdown, right? May I remind you that in MMA scoring, the number one criteria is damage, right? This isn't boxing necessarily where if you get a knockdown, it's an automatic 10-8, okay? So if you are losing, if you thought that Arnold Allen was winning that fight, or that round, until the last 5 seconds when they had that crazy flurry and he gets flash knocked down and he gets right back up, then Arnold Allen won that round, in my opinion. He won that round. That was a flash. He did the damage. He did the majority, if not all of the damage in that round. The one knockdown doesn't negate all of that. This isn't boxing. I know it's confusing with the 10-point must system, but that's what I want to say about that. How did you score it, G? Oh, go ahead.
Let me just say, it doesn't, but the implication is that a knockdown is a very damaging blow, right? Like, typically that is a more severe and damaging blow than what had come before it.
But they're not all equal, as you know, right?
No, they're not all equal, but thus why in boxing it is a 10-8 is because of how damaging that blow is. So agree with that.
He also rocked him seconds earlier. Arnold rocked Max right before he got flash knockdown.
So. I'm not going to lie. In real time, with like the flurries that were going on, I thought Arnold Allen just slipped. I didn't realize until watching a replay of it that it was a knockdown like it was. So I gave Arnold Allen that round. Live scoring it, though, I mean, we were talking throughout the entire fight. I actually made the argument that you could give round 2 to Max Holloway as well, the way that he came on at the end of it. You guys shut that down. I had it 3-1 going into the 5th, and then I scored it Arnold Allen 5th round. So 48-47. I would have been shocked, honestly, as they were listing it, if they had given it to Arnold Allen. I thought, with how decisive rounds 1 and 3 were for Holloway, and, the closeness of rounds 2 and 4, and then with the flash knockdown as well, to not give any of those to Max Holloway, I thought would have been ridiculous. So yeah, I scored it for Max Holloway pretty decisively.
4-1 or 3-2?
On first live watch, I had it 1-2-3 Max Holloway.
1, 2,
was
3.
iffy about 4, and then 5 Arnold Allen. And then rewatching it, I gave 2 to Arnold Allen, 4 to Max Holloway, and then I don't know what to do with the knockdown in 5. Right. Either way, I had Max Holloway winning any way you flip it.
Can I just say that the dumbest things in MMA, specifically when it comes to scoring, not especially, specifically when it comes to scoring, are that should have been a split decision. Dumbest thing.
Oh, that's my favorite. That's my favorite.
You're showing your ass on that one. And number 2, that fight was this without supporting evidence, right? Oh, that felt like a 50-45 or 49-46 fight, just presenting a scorecard without scoring the rounds, without explaining like which rounds went to which person. It's like, that was like a 50-45 or a 49-46. Well, you should have an answer. There should be one answer if you went back and actually looked at the scorecards and scored it. And you should have an answer for that. You should know what your score is. I hate that. I think it's so dumb.
It's that one, and to be the champ, you got to beat the champ. You got to win the rounds decisively if you're the challenger. That drives me insane.
You literally don't.
It's just one guy you literally have to be a guy. The judge sits down there, and let's say it's a 5-round fight. You have to win 3 out of those 5. You can win them by the skin of your teeth. You don't have to be the man to beat the man. There's no Ric Flair involved in any of this.
That's it. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely open to the wisdom of the masses. Like I would imagine that if I rewatch that fight, I'd probably score it for Holloway. It just seems overwhelming that most of the scorecards came in for Holloway. But my first watch, I had it for Allen. And to the point, 1 and 3 were pretty definitively Max rounds, right? I don't think anybody's really objecting to that. 5 felt like definitively Allen until the end. But again, on a rewatch, that might look a little bit different. A lot of Allen's punches were missing on Max or were being blocked on Max throughout that fight. So I think you need to rewatch that one. And 4 felt extremely close and 2 felt extremely close to me. So it could have gone a million different directions.
I rewatched the fight, and round 2 was like a tale of 2 rounds. Like Arnold Allen started out so well, and then Max Holloway for the second half of the round, performed so well and was landing much more than Arnold Allen. So it was just kind of like, it was tough to split, man. I mean, 2 and 4 were incredibly close.
And by the way, I'm not sitting here and saying like the wrong guy won or anything like that.
No, you literally said the right guy won just a moment ago.
Yes. But but there's it's not as clear cut. There's nuance here. There's debates. There's little moments. It's a 5-minute round and things are happening. And no better example than that 5th round, right? Where I thought Allen had that in the bag. And then you have this moment where you're like, was that enough to overwrite everything that happened in that 5th round? I don't think it was. I don't.
Yeah.
People are just like, oh, he got knocked down. He loses that. That's not how it works. This isn't boxing. This isn't kickboxing. It's not how it works.
Had it gone to Arnold Allen, though, I don't think I would have said robbery, but I would have thought that was a bad decision. I would have thought I thought that Max Holloway won, and Frank was talking about it when we got here today. Like, the volume of Max Holloway is just so crazy. Like, it doesn't feel like he's doing this much work. And then you look back at the stats, like round 4, he actually outstruck Arnold Allen 29 significant strikes to 12. Like, it's just... And the volume from him is crazy.
And that was a low volume Max. That wasn't even like Calvin Kattar Max.
It's crazy to think
that was Max turned down to 7. But yeah, he's
also the chin on Max Holloway is just crazy. Like, that might have been his best weapon in this fight. Like, anytime, like, it felt like Arnold Allen hit him with multiple huge shots that would have rocked just about anyone else, and Max Holloway just unfazed, ready to roll. I mean, it's impressive, the durability of him, the volume of him. I mean, he's still Max Holloway. It was a great performance by him.
We talk a lot about like guys who have great chins. I think his is obviously Pantheon. It might be number 1. The thing that's different about him than a lot of others is like he doesn't even show it on his face. Like, obviously people have hit him hard before, and obviously he's been hurt, but like he looks like he didn't even get touched, which is just an incredible thing. And it helps. It definitely helps in situations like this where we're talking about judging. If a judge sees Max Holloway just standing there like it was a breeze instead of a massive left hook, that helps. That helps your case as a fighter who goes to a lot of decisions. So, like legendary.
A couple of those left hands, like even with the crowd in the arena, sounded like explosions through my TV. And I like... Max Holloway was just unfazed by it. Another thing that Max Holloway did really well was the body kicks. Those were, he was really working those well.
I have to say, after the performance that we saw, after the fight that we saw in July of last year against Alex Volkanovski, and just to see, like, remember that? It was like a little bit hard to watch towards the end.
Yes.
It was 50-45 Volkanovski. It never looked like he was in the fight. It was uncomfortable. And, I think he had to make some changes behind the scenes. And I think there were some people behind the scenes that were kind of hinting at, maybe it's time for him to come back July, 9 months later, and look like that against the guy on a 10-fight winning streak go the distance.
It's crazy.
It's pretty remarkable.
I think that narrative, if it exists, is a disrespect to Alexander Volkanovski. Like, I think he's just that good. I don't think.
Well, that's what I said. That's what I said on Saturday. But you're watching it in the moment, and you're like, you kind of forget, and then you separate, and then you see him against anyone else, and you're like, oh shit,
yeah,
it's Volkanovski. He's
Max,
that damn. Like, he's
that
just
good.
a different
and Max
level.
Is still the dude. Max is still the guy, and he's that damn good. I don't think that was the best Max Holloway. Like, I think it was a damn good Max Holloway. I don't think it was the best Max Holloway. Is it possible like he's lost a half a step, a quarter of a step? Sure. Like, I'm definitely okay, like, accepting of that possibility, but he's still number 2. Like, don't get mistaken. When it comes to featherweights, the dude's still number 2. And it's Alex, Max, and then drop. I
who
left
wins?
this one.
Alex? Excuse me, who wins? Max or Patricio Pitbull?
I think Max. Now, I don't think
Max.
Pitbull's out of that fight. Also, like the reach advantage that Max would have over Pitbull would be like silly. Like Max has some real physical advantages in that fight.
Right.
I left this fight thinking of Max and Yair, like stock up both guys. Like to me, that was the performance from Arnold Allen that like I honestly didn't know how good Arnold Allen was because the last couple have been funky in a certain way. This tells me where Arnold Allen really is in the division. Max is the measuring stick and not in a like gatekeeper way, more like a title gatekeeper. He's like that first line of defense until you get to Volkanovski. I left this fight thinking Max Holloway's still the dude, and Arnold Allen is legit. Like Arnold Allen is the truth. And we saw this with Yair. After Yair fought Max, it started to be clear like Yair is ready for that next step, and now he's fighting for the undisputed title at some point. So I don't think this is anything for Arnold to be down about. I think this is the step that you need to see, okay, I can compete with the absolute elite of this division, the best of the best of the best, and now I'm ready to make another run at it.
Initially,
Yair lost to Max Holloway in November of 2021. Like we're talking about what he's the interim champ 15 months later, and now he's gonna get to fight Alexander Volkanovski for the undisputed belt. Like I don't think this sets back Arnold Allen that far.
So initially on Saturday night when I saw Max talking about Zombie, because you look at the featherweight rankings and you're like, who does he fight, right? Because you have to be careful about who you put him in against. Like if you put him in there against Ilya Topuria, yeah, big fight for Topuria, but what if he loses to him? Now he goes, down a few pegs. And I saw him talking about Zombie, and I was like, I don't know if I like that fight because of how Zombie looked in his last fight. And then I remembered, oh yeah, his last fight was against Volkanovski. Same thing, right? Looked like he was levels below, didn't seem like he was in it at all. Towards the end, it was a little bit uncomfortable. Volkanovski himself seemed like he didn't really want to punch him anymore. And now that I see how excited Holloway is, because he's not really that kind of guy to really poke his finger in someone's chest, and how excited Zombie is, and he put out a video today in his gym saying, let's do it in Australia. Now I feel like that's the fight to make, regardless of how Zombie looked in his last fight against Volkanovski over a year ago, by the way. So it probably will be about a year and a half until he fights again. Maybe that was needed. He is slowing down. I don't think he has more than 2 fights left, to be honest. And then considering how Max has looked on Saturday, so he is back. I love that fight. Rick, what do you think of it?
Love that fight. I don't think it's going to be a very difficult fight for Max Holloway. If I'm being transparent, like I really don't think Zombie has the tools to make Max Holloway sweat or work very hard. But I think both of them wanting it is enough for me. And as far as the Max knocking off contenders thing, one, if you're not good enough to beat Max Holloway, then you're probably not going to be good enough to beat Alexander Volkanovski. I'm sorry, that's just the reality of the situation. And 2, one day somebody is going to beat Max Holloway. Another featherweight other than Alexander Volkanovski is going to beat Max Holloway, and what a win it's going to be. Arnold Allen, I think, was close. I think this was a fight where Arnold Allen got close to it, and one day somebody's going to be able to conquer that mountain and beat one of the best potentially the best featherweight of all time, if not one of. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that idea. I don't think that everybody wants to push Max to 55 because they don't want to see him knock off the contenders. It's like, we don't, who's he going to fight? The contenders are going to have to fight him. That's just it. He wants to be in that division. And if an opportunity opens up where Volkanovski loses or goes up to 55 and captures that title and vacates the belt, the world is now Max Holloway's oyster again. So I'm okay with it. Leave him in there. Let him fight who he wants to fight. And somebody's going to have to beat him. Somebody's going to have to beat him if they want that opportunity.
I mean, he's only 31, which is crazy.
It's crazy.
Like, it just feels like he should be way older. In terms of the Korean Zombie matchup, though, I'm a big fan of it. I'm with you, Ariel. Like, well, whether it's going to be a close fight or not, I think there's potential for it to be a super fun matchup.
Oh, I especially in a place where like an Australian crowd. I mean, again, I saw you had the Kansas City lunch or breakfast, whatever. What was that?
Dinner. Just a nice little barbecue.
Is it like now you're getting into it, right? Like these random fight nights in these places. Isn't it fun?
I love it.
By the way, you don't get Zach Cummings. You don't get Zach Cummings at the Apex. You don't get that moment at the Apex.
Yeah.
You don't get these like regional moments. And of course we're back at the fucking Apex this weekend.
2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row. Jeez Louise. You don't get these nice moments. You don't get Bill Algeo on the microphone. Think about the moments that are created just because we're here. So a crowd like the ones that we see in Australia, and who knows where in Australia will be, but they're always amazing. Sydney, one of the best crowds that I've ever experienced in person, would be a great spot for a fight like that. Is Hawaii close to Australia? I know South Korea is, sort of.
So why? Yeah, ish.
I guess because it's on West Coast, right? Like to get from here to Australia, you have to go through LA. So I would imagine it's closer, right?
It's either closer or nearly equidistant. It's. I was on a Twitter thread that how difficult it is to actually judge distance based on a globe because of the spherical nature.
Wow.
And kind of some facts about some interesting things you might not know.
You were on the thread?
No, I was reading a Twitter.
Oh,
thread
okay.
Like I'll give you an example. The width of Africa is larger than the width of Russia. But like if you think about a map, if you think about a globe, you wouldn't actually like know that perspective. Anyway, saw a Twitter thread about it. But yeah, I don't even remember the original question. How far was it?
I think you're talking proximity from Hawaii to Australia, like in terms of Max Holloway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Still a pretty expensive flight.
Oh, sure.
About $1,000.
Yeah.
10 hours and 50 minutes from Honolulu to Sydney.
Okay,
So
I mean
shorter.
that's closer than New York to
Yep.
to Sydney. Maybe it's the 11th island. Who knows? By the way, consider this: the last time Max Holloway lost to someone at 145 pounds, not named Alex Volkanovski. Do you know who that person was?
Is it Connor?
Connor in 2013.
Yeah.
That was the last time Max Holloway lost to anyone in the featherweight division, not named Alex Volkanovski. The names since then: Will Chope, Andre Fili, Clay Collard, Kira Corsani, Cole Miller, Cub Swanson, Charles Oliveira, Jeremy Stevens, Ricardo Lamas, Anthony Pettis, Jose Aldo, Brian Ortega, Frankie Edgar, Calvin Kattar, Yair Rodriguez, Arnold Allen. That is
Insane.
freaking who's who.
It's insane.
That is a who's who. I feel for Arnold, though.
By the way, the loss, we're qualifying it as like last time he lost to a featherweight not named Volkanovski. The other loss at 55 was to
Poirier.
Dustin freaking Poirier. Like
Interim title
the dude is amazing. Like Max Holloway, his career is going to age very, very well when it's all said and done. The significant strikes and total strike statistics, the pace that he's putting right now, I don't think those are ever going to get touched by anybody ever. Like I don't think it's ever going to be close. It's going to be Kareem. LeBron finally caught Kareem. It's going to be that times a million. Nobody's ever going to catch Holloway in terms of the strike numbers that he's putting up. He's special, man. And I said this on Saturday. I tweeted it. When Max Holloway fights, it's an event. And you can't say that about every single time there's a headliner for the UFC these days. There's fights where you're just like, okay, like this is the headliner, but okay. Max Holloway, when he fights, no matter where it is, Kansas City sounded like Hawaii. Like wherever he goes,
they were chanting for him. Holloway,
chanting Holloway.
He's the man. He's the freaking man. Max Holloway's the
walking
man.
out to Hawaiian kickboxer, young and down, one of the great walkouts. Like I said, I feel for Arnold. I wonder who he fights next. The one that comes to mind is Josh Emmett. Just fought in February, 4 against 5, at least as of right now in the UFC rankings. Feels like that makes sense, right?
Against Topuria in June.
Who's that? Oh, Josh Emmett? Is he?
Josh Emmett Topuria, I believe.
I think that is book. I'm okay with either of those guys against Allen, though. I think he's right there. I think he stays right there.
Where's Giga Chikadze at?
Dude, where is he at, man?
Yeah, that's a great
June
question.
2022.
Yeah.
Against Kattar. January 2022.
Yeah.
So we're looking at 15 months since we've seen him fight. This was the first card of the year last year. And I've heard no news about him.
Yeah, I see an article here, MMA News, Giga Chikadze continues search for next opponent February 2023. So he was supposed to fight in September of 2022 against Sadiq Youssef, but nothing since.
Giga Arnold Allen, I wouldn't mind that at all.
Oh, that would be fun.
Sign me up.
I hope Arnold fights. He fought just a few months ago. Like that, I think that was the problem in terms of wanting to give him a title shot sooner. He was fighting once every year or so because of injuries and whatnot. And you do wonder if this fight happened in that London arena, the O2 Arena last month, that London card. Is the result any different? Where Arnold is the big favorite or no?
I'm gonna say no.
Yeah, I'm going to say no also.
All right.
So it was I thought it was kind of cool to see like the crowd really on Holloway's side.
Oh, of course. I mean, he's top 10 most popular fighters in the UFC
Yeah.
right now. So yeah, a great main event. You all scored it wrong. NBD.
Yeah.
NBD. The vitriol blew me away.
I thought it was crazy that I was in the minority in our group chat, scoring it for Holloway.
Yeah, I was waiting for Rick to jump in there and be like, "Hey guys, just to let you know, I scored," but like there was no save.
No, yeah, you were like,
you're ranting for 20 minutes.
You're talking about on Twitter.
on Twitter?
On Twitter, yeah. Can you jump into the thread for a sec?
No, I was gonna jump in and add to the vitriol.
Oh,
you're crazy.
Did you like? I liked my follow-up tweet. I thought it was a pretty good one for,
what'd you say?
Subscribe to my SoundCloud?
Yes, subscribe to your SoundCloud. What does that even mean, dude?
Well, I feel like every time someone has like a fire tweet, they always follow.
They plug something. Yeah. New song dropping April 22nd.
Yes, this is
it's typically not when they're getting ratioed.
I know, but I was trying to make light of this situation.
How many quote tweets were there?
Oh my God. It was this fucking guy. Die.
Yeah.
Die.
I mean,
whoa, chill.
The amount of anger that people have. I also love that, like, a couple other people I like that are prominent in the sport. I want to say Brian Campbell also was like, nope, I scored it for Allen as well. Like, there were a few people that, like, agreed with you.
Yes.
I honestly didn't know it was that shocking till later, till I started seeing a lot more scorecards.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't
be
honest, when they were going to the scorecards, you guys were like, Allen is about to get his hand raised?
That was one where I was like, whatever gets read out here is going to be
I was shocked.
Fine. No, I was not
no
shocked.
way.
I was not.
As the second, like, I was like, this is Holloway. I feel like this would be a bad decision if it was Allen. The second I heard 49-46, I was like, oh, this is Holloway.
Yeah, even 49-46, I was not. Then I knew Holloway had won, but I was not like, 49-46. I was like, yeah, that's a regular. That was like your scorecard. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
I was going to like when Brian tweeted that to me, I was gonna say, save yourself, Brian, delete the tweet. It's not worth it, dog. It's not worth it. We're gonna talk more about that fight and the rest of the card. Some of the other big winners: Edson Barbosa with an incredible finish of Billy Quarantillo. He called him out. Billy Q did, and unfortunately didn't go his way. A lesson for him, but a knee out of nowhere. This guy throws knees like jabs, Jose Aldo-esque. And he finished him in the first round. Edson Barbosa, the ageless wonder, still winning, and what a big win for him. He improves to 23-11 as a pro. Unanimous decision win for one. Not Dustin Jacoby. Azmat Murzakanov over Dustin Jacoby. Solid fight there. Iwan Kuchilaba defeated Tanner Boser via first round ground and pound TKO. Nice moment seeing DC and Iwan squash their beef afterwards. Pedro Munoz defeated Chris Gutierrez via unanimous decision. Rafa Garcia defeated Clay Guida. More on that fight to come. Bill Algeo, more on his win over TJ Brown. What about Brandon Royval? Was all fired up after his big win over Mateus Nicolau. Zach Cummings, as I said, defeated Ed Herman. Jillian Robertson defeated Pierre Rodriguez, somewhat controversial. And a few other results that we can get to later on in the program. Those were the main ones.